Perhaps he merely recognized an unfortunate but universal truth that history does repeat itself.
This was not the end. It was only the beginning of our fight to rescue the American dream.
The same as Donald Trump in 2016 when I predicted Donald Trump's win on my totally nonpartisan system.
Welcome to our channel. Today, we'll delve into the intriguing world of Nostradamus, the 16th century French astrologer, physician, apothecary, and reputed seer whose prophecies have captivated generations. From the rise of Adolf Hitler to the assassination of John F. Kennedy, some of Nostradamus's predictions seem shockingly accurate. He famously published more than 900 prophecies in poetic quatrains, collected in a book titled Les Prophéties in 1555. To this day, many believe that Nostradamus truly foresaw future events, ones he could have had no prior knowledge of. As the race to the White House intensifies, Americans are turning their attention to every debate among the candidates, eagerly awaiting the final results this November. But the recent event has made people extremely panic in America. Donald Trump was shot in this election. This makes this year's election extremely fierce, attracting the attention of the whole world. We are Jesus' eternal aura. In today's video, you will have appropriate answers to all the questions above. Before you know what happened, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and click the bell icon for all the latest updates.
Maybe what happened with Nostradamus is that maybe he had all of that knowledge figured out already. So maybe that gave him a huge flexibility to predict many of these things.
The sudden surge of interest in the prophecies of Alan Lichtman, often dubbed the Nostradamus of U.S. presidential elections, is more prominent than ever. With Donald Trump running again for the presidency, many are turning to Lichtman to predict the potential outcomes for America and the world. Known for his remarkable accuracy in forecasting 9 out of the past 10 U.S. presidential elections, Lichtman's methodology has earned him both acclaim and scrutiny. Lichtman has developed a predictive system known as the 13 Keys to the White House, which is a groundbreaking method for election forecasting. This model is based on a series of true or false questions that assess various factors such as economic performance, social stability, and incumbent charisma. By analyzing historical data from as far back as Abraham Lincoln's era, Lichtman has crafted a predictive model that transcends conventional methods used by traditional analysts. The 13 Keys to the White House model has been accurate since 1984, predicting the outcome of 10 consecutive elections. The system works by evaluating whether 6 or more of the 13 keys go against the incumbent party in the White House. If they do, the incumbent is predicted to lose. Conversely, if fewer than 6 keys go against the incumbent, they are predicted to win. As it stands, a significant number of negative factors would need to align for Joe Biden to lose the upcoming election. Currently, Biden is down by only 2 keys according to Lichtman's evaluations. Biden's first debate against Donald Trump on June 27th was considered a disaster for the incumbent president. During the 90-minute debate, Biden stumbled over his words multiple times and appeared unfocused, speaking with a weak and hoarse voice and mixing up some information. In contrast, Trump dominated the debate with a series of attacks. Biden's shaky performance has raised concerns among Democrats, with some even publicly calling for him to withdraw from the race to ensure the party's success. This debate performance could be seen as the first sign that Trump might have a stronger chance than previously anticipated. From Lichtman's perspective, several keys are crucial for predicting the election outcome. One key is incumbency, which Biden clearly holds. Another key is the lack of a significant challenge within the party for the nomination, which Biden also secures. This means that 6 out of the remaining 11 keys would need to fall against Biden for his defeat to be predicted. In a recent 3-day survey, 41% of participants favored Trump's economic approach over Biden's 34%, with the remaining respondents either unsure or feeling that neither candidate had a superior stance. This economic favorability is a critical factor in Lichtman's model. Lichtman's track record includes predicting Trump's unexpected victory in 2016, contrary to the polls, and forecasting George H.W. Bush's win in 1988, even when he was significantly behind in the polls earlier that year. This predictive prowess faced a notable challenge in the 2000 election between Al Gore and George W. Bush. While Lichtman forecasted a victory for Gore, the controversial outcome cast a shadow over his prediction. However, Lichtman argues that every election can shift based on significant events, such as Biden's weak performance in the debate with Trump, which may cause voters to reconsider their choices. It's worth noting that Lichtman's keys are not influenced by daily polling or media pundits. Instead, they focus on broader historical and systemic factors. For instance, former President Obama also faced uncertainty during debates, yet he managed to secure 2 consecutive terms in office. Lichtman emphasizes the importance of looking at the bigger picture rather than getting caught up in the daily fluctuations of polling data. As we approach the next election, Lichtman's model will once again be put to the test. He encourages voters to compare the current situation with his 13 keys to gauge the likely outcome. Despite initial skepticism from the forecasting community, Lichtman's methodology has consistently proven its worth. From Ronald Reagan's re-election amid economic recession to Bill Clinton's victory against George H.W. Bush, Lichtman has accurately predicted several crucial elections.
The keys to the White House are the world's only do-it-yourself prediction system. You all can now become election forecasters using the 13 keys.
The 13 keys to the White House, as designed by Lichtman, are as follows. The first key is the party mandate, where after the midterm elections, the incumbent party secures more seats in the U.S. House of Representatives than it did in the previous midterms. The second key is the nomination contest, indicating no significant challenge to the incumbent party's nomination. The third key is incumbency, where the sitting president is running for re-election. The fourth key is the absence of a significant third party or independent campaign. The fifth key is the short-term economy, ensuring the economy is not in recession during the election campaign. The sixth key is the long-term economy, with real per capita economic growth during the term equaling or exceeding the mean growth during the previous 2 terms. The seventh key is policy change, where the incumbent administration affects major changes in national policy. The eighth key is social unrest, indicating no sustained social unrest during the term. The ninth key is scandal, where the incumbent administration is untainted by major scandal. The 10th key is foreign military success, where the incumbent administration achieves a major success in foreign or military affairs. The 11th key is foreign military failure, where the incumbent administration suffers no major failure in foreign or military affairs. The 12th key is incumbent charisma, where the incumbent party candidate is charismatic or a national hero. The 13th key is challenger charisma, where the challenging party candidate is not charismatic or a national hero. By assessing these keys, voters can gain insights into the likely outcome of the upcoming election and make informed decisions. The third key in Alan Lichtman's 13 Keys to the White House model is incumbency, meaning the sitting president represents the incumbent party. The fourth key is short-term economic stability, which indicates that the economy does not face a recession during the election period. Long-term economic growth is the fifth key, where real per capita economic growth equals or surpasses the average growth of the preceding 2 terms. The sixth key is policy shift, which involves the incumbent administration enacting major alterations in national policy. Continuing with social stability, the seventh key assesses whether there is no prolonged social unrest throughout the term. The eighth key is the absence of major scandals, the incumbent administration must remain free from significant scandals. The ninth key is the avoidance of foreign or military mishaps, meaning no significant failures occur in foreign or military affairs under the incumbent administration. This is followed by the 10th key, foreign or military triumphs, where the administration achieves significant successes in these areas. The 11th key is incumbent charm, which requires the incumbent party's candidate to possess charisma or enjoy national hero status. The 12th key, challenger appeal, assesses whether the opposing party's candidate lacks charisma or national hero status. The final key is the third-party factor, which means there is no noteworthy third-party or independent campaign. Reflecting on the 2020 election, Lichtman correctly predicted that Trump would lose and Biden would win. In 2019, Trump was down 4 keys, and it takes 6 keys to count out the White House party. Lichtman also accurately predicted Trump's victory in 2016, a forecast that did not make him very popular in heavily Democratic Washington, D.C., where he teaches. Trump even sent Lichtman a note on the Washington Post article where he predicted his win, saying, "Congrats, Professor. Good call." According to Lichtman, it is governance, not campaigning, that counts. Trump did not understand this, so when the pandemic hit, instead of addressing it substantively as the keys would have indicated, he tried to talk his way out of it. This approach failed, the economy tanked, and he lost 2 additional keys: the short-term and long-term economy. This brought him down 6 keys, enough to predict his defeat. For the 2024 election, predicted scenarios for the United States are garnering more attention than ever. Additionally, Nostradamus' actual predictions for 2024 are causing fear among people, adding another layer of anxiety to the political landscape. Lichtman's model emphasizes that while daily polls and media pundits can be distracting, the broader historical and systemic factors are more telling. His methodology, focusing on these 13 keys, has consistently proven its accuracy over the years. From Ronald Reagan's re-election amid economic recession to Bill Clinton's victory against George H.W. Bush, Lichtman's predictions have accurately forecasted several crucial elections. Despite initial skepticism from the forecasting community, Lichtman's system has shown its worth time and again. By evaluating these keys, voters can gain insights into the likely outcome of the upcoming election and make more informed decisions. As we approach the next presidential election, Lichtman's 13 keys to the White House will once again be a vital tool for understanding the dynamics at play. One of the most astonishing predictions for this year is that Prince Harry will become... This sounds incredible, right? One of the passages in Nostradamus' extensive writings suggests that a king of the Isles will be driven out by force. Some believe Nostradamus is referring to King Charles III. Another passage purportedly about Charles states, after disastrous war, shall be anointed who for a long time will appease the earth. British author and Nostradamus commentator who previously suggested that Nostradamus might have predicted Queen Elizabeth II's death, analyzed that King Charles III would abdicate due to persistent attacks on both himself and his second wife. Harry would then replace them instead of William, as he, the spare heir, supposedly has no mark of a king. Involves China waging war. Nostradamus predicted the red band without battle, stating that a red adversary will become pale with fear, putting the great ocean in dread. Some interpret the red adversary as China, referencing their red flag. They relate to China's tensions with the island of Taiwan. Beijing, the capital of the largest navy in the world, and such a prediction aligns with current geopolitical tensions. Nostradamus' third prediction for this year focuses on climate disaster. The climate crisis has become increasingly apparent in recent years, with rising droughts, wildfires, and record-high temperatures. Nostradamus predicts that the situation. He wrote, "The earth will grow more parched, and there will be great floods when it is seen." He also predicted extreme weather events and global hunger, stating, "very great famine through pestilence." This prophecy echoes current concerns about climate change and its devastating impacts on the planet. The prediction involves the replacement of Pope Francis. According to Nostradamus's astrological predictions, through the death of a very old pontiff, a Roman of good age will be elected. Of him it will be said that he weakens his seat, but long will he sit, and in biting activity. Pope Francis, who is Day's 7th birthday, has been experiencing health issues. This prediction suggests that his statement as Pope may soon come to an end, leading to the election of a new pontiff. Nostradamus's writings, composed 400 years ago, have seemed to predict numerous significant events. He is often credited with predicting the end of the world in unusually date-specific terms. In one of his most famous quatrains, he wrote, "The year 1999, 7th month, from a great king of terror shall be revived the great king of Angulmois. Before and after Mars shall reign." Some interpreters suggested that the king of terror was the Antichrist. Others argued that Angulmois was an anagram for Mongol, implying an imminent invasion of Europe from the east, though whether by Russians, Chinese, or descendants of Genghis Khan riding like Dothraki hordes was uncertain. Nostradamus expert Professor Alexander told the prediction so concerning that he retreated to his bunker in Lower Austria to wait out the catastrophe that never. Nostradamus's writings are now being used to forecast a European apocalypse. This prediction is based on the following quotation: 7 months the great war, people dead of evil doing. Rouen and Evreux shall not fall to the king. Some have interpreted this to mean that the escalation of the Ukraine conflict into a third world war between 1547 and 1555. Nostradamus reportedly dictated poetic prophetic quatrains to his high on nutmeg, which causes hallucinations in large doses. Despite his detractors, Nostradamus posthumously triumphed as his quatrains, published in 1555 as Les Prophéties, have never gone out of print. They have been claimed to have predicted the execution of Charles I, the Great Fire of London, the French Revolution, the assassination of and Benazir Bhutto think that the mass murders in Paris and even the abdication of King Charles III. A book of interpretations of Nostradamus's supposed prophecies recently topped the Sunday Times bestsellers list after apparently predicting when Queen Elizabeth II would die. In his book, published in 2006, author Mario Redding claimed to have found something that others who had pored over Nostradamus had missed: that his quatrains are number-indexed to correlate with dates. Hence, for instance, quatrain 1022, purporting to forecast the death of the Queen, reads, "Because they disapproved of his divorce, a man who later they considered unworthy, the people will force out the king of the islands. A man will replace who never expected to be king." This quatrain predicted Queen Elizabeth's death around 2022 at the age of around 96. Reading went on to claim that the 1022 quatrain predicts King Charles will abdicate due to persistent attacks on both himself and his second wife, stemming from resentments held against him by a portion of the British population following his divorce from Diana, Princess of Wales. Reading's interpretation didn't end there. He also speculated that Prince Harry would become the next king instead of his older brother, William. This interpretation hinges on the notion that Harry, as the spare heir, lacks the traditional mark of a king, making his ascension to the throne unexpected. The enduring question remains: was Nostradamus truly a seer capable of predicting the future? Or did he merely take shots in the dark and manage a few lucky hits? His quatrains, filled with cryptic language and open to interpretation, continue to fascinate and provoke debate. Whether one believes in his prophetic abilities or not, the legacy of Nostradamus endures, as his writings are continually revisited and reinterpreted in the context of contemporary events. The Danube River, one of the most significant rivers in Europe, flows through much of Central and Southeastern Europe, starting from the Black Forest in Germany and making its way to the Black Sea. Along its journey, it either flows through or borders several countries, including Germany, Austria, Slovakia, Hungary, Croatia, Serbia, Romania, Bulgaria, Moldova, and Ukraine. Many of these countries were occupied by Germany during World War II. If Nostradamus's reference to Easter indeed pertains to the Danube, as some interpret, his quatrain might be seen as a prediction of the extensive conflict that would engulf the region. This is not the only instance where Nostradamus is thought to have predicted events related to World War II. One of the most notorious moments in American history is the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. On November 22, 1963, President Kennedy and his wife Jacqueline rode through the streets of Dallas, Texas, in the back seat of an open-top limousine. As their car crossed Dealey Plaza, a shot rang out, and the president slumped over in the back seat. Lee Harvey Oswald was subsequently identified as Kennedy's assassin, but the incident sparked numerous conspiracy theories. Some theories suggest Oswald did not act alone, or even that the U.S. government conspired to kill the president. These conspiracy theories sometimes reference one of Nostradamus's predictions, which states, "The ancient task will be completed. From on high, evil will fall on the great man. A dead innocent will be accused of the deed. The guilty one will remain in the mist." Some interpret this to mean that Oswald, who was murdered by nightclub owner Jack Ruby before he could stand trial, was the dead innocent, and that the real guilty party escaped justice. Oswald himself claimed he was a patsy, and because he never went to trial, it remains uncertain whether he acted alone or if he was even the true assassin. Even 60 years later, Kennedy's assassination remains shrouded in mystery and controversy, with many questions left unanswered. Perhaps Nostradamus did foresee this tragic event and the enduring enigma surrounding it. King Henry II of France, a staunch Roman Catholic known for his persecution of Protestants, met a gruesome fate that some believe was foretold by Nostradamus. Henry II would participate in a jousting match against Gabriel de Lorge, the Count of Montgomery. Although de Lorge unseated Henry in their first pass, the king, unwilling to concede defeat, challenged him again. During the second charge, de Lorge's lance splintered upon striking Henry's helmet, with fragments piercing the king's eye and brain. Henry endured 10 days of excruciating pain before succumbing to his injuries. Nostradamus supposedly predicted this event with the lines, "The young lion will overcome the older one. On the field of combat in a single battle, he will pierce his eyes through a golden cage. 2 wounds made one, then he dies a cruel death." Critics argue that field of combat might not apply to a friendly jousting match, and there is debate over whether the men's shields bore lion emblems. Nonetheless, the golden cage can be seen as a reference to the king's helmet, and the description of the wounds is eerily accurate. Louis Pasteur, born in 1822, is often hailed as the father of microbiology for his groundbreaking work in the field. He discovered the process of pasteurization, which removes harmful bacteria from foods like milk and wine, making them safe for consumption. Pasteur also discovered that microorganisms cause fermentation, challenging the prevailing belief that fermentation occurred spontaneously. His work paved the way for vaccines, including those for rabies and anthrax. Pasteur's first rabies inoculation saved a young boy named Joseph Meister, who had been bitten by a rabid dog. Pasteur is also one of the few individuals mentioned by name in Nostradamus's prophecies. The lost thing is discovered, hidden for many centuries. Pasteur will be celebrated almost as a godlike figure. This is when the moon completes her great cycle, but by other rumors, he shall be dishonored. The final line is significant, as in 1995, Gerald Geisen's book, The Private Science of Louis Pasteur, revealed that Pasteur had incorporated the findings of a rival into his anthrax vaccine research, thereby tainting his legacy. The Great Fire of London in 1666 began on September 2nd in Thomas Farriner's bakery on Pudding Lane. Fires were not uncommon in London at the time, but this fire was particularly devastating. When the Lord Mayor of London, Sir Thomas Bloodworth, was informed of the fire, he famously dismissed it, saying, "Pish, a woman might piss it out." However, London had been enduring a prolonged dry period, and the city's wooden buildings provided ample fuel for the flames. The fire raged for 3 days, destroying large swaths of the city. Some believe that Nostradamus predicted this calamity as well, though the specific quatrain is often debated among scholars and enthusiasts. Nostradamus's prophecies have fascinated people for centuries, with many interpreting his quatrains as predictions of significant historical events. While skeptics argue that his verses are too vague and open to interpretation, believers maintain that Nostradamus had an uncanny ability to foresee the future. Whether or not one subscribes to the idea of prophetic insight, the stories linked to his quatrains continue to intrigue and inspire debate. The Great Fire of London in 1666 started on September 2nd in Thomas Farriner's bakery on Pudding Lane. London's wooden buildings were particularly vulnerable to fire after a prolonged, hot and rainless summer, making them tinder dry. Once the fire began, it quickly spread, igniting over 300 houses in a short period. Efforts to extinguish the fire with water-filled buckets proved futile, and panic spread as fast as the flames. The fire raged for nearly 4 days. King Charles II, in a desperate measure, ordered houses in the fire's path to be demolished to create fire breaks, but even this drastic action failed to halt the inferno. The king himself joined the firefighting efforts, passing buckets of water in a bid to douse the flames, yet to no avail. By September 4th, half of London was ablaze. It was then proposed to use gunpowder to blow up houses in the fire's path to create a larger firebreak. This tactic, while partially effective, caused explosions that led to rumors of a French invasion, inciting even more panic among the populace. Ultimately, 4/5 of London was reduced to ashes, including nearly all civic buildings and 13,000 private residences. The fire was finally extinguished on September 6th, but the devastation was immense, requiring London to be almost entirely rebuilt. Over a century before the Great Fire, Nostradamus is believed to have predicted the catastrophe. The blood of the just will be lacking in London. Burnt up in the fire of 66, the ancient lady will topple from her high place. Many of the same sect will be killed. While the actual human death toll from the fire was relatively low, estimated by historians to be just 6, some suggest that the blood of the just might refer to the rats carrying fleas that spread the Great Plague, also known as the Black Death, the year before. The fire, while devastating the city, effectively ended the plague in London by killing off the disease and its hosts. The French Revolution, which began in 1789, marked a significant turning point in France's history. Frustrated by the monarchy's excesses, the people of France rose up against King Louis XVI and Queen Marie Antoinette. In July of that year, Parisians stormed the Bastille prison, freeing political prisoners and dismantling a symbol of royal tyranny. By October, angered by the high price of bread, a large mob marched 12 miles from Paris to Versailles, demanding the king and queen's presence in Paris. It took a few more years before Louis XVI was sentenced to death for conspiring against the state. On January 21, 1793, about 20,000 people gathered to watch as the king was executed by guillotine. 9 months later, Marie Antoinette met the same fate. After her beheading, the executioner held her head up to the crowd, who cheered, "Vive la République!" Nostradamus's quatrain, written over 2 centuries before the Revolution, reads, "Songs, chants, and demands will come from the enslaved, held captive by the nobility in their prisons." At a later date, brainless idiots will take these as divine utterances. This prophecy has been interpreted in various ways, but it is easy to see its connection to the French Revolution. Although the people of France were not literally enslaved, they suffered greatly under the monarchy and blamed the royals for their plight. Many were indeed held captive in noble prisons, most famously the Bastille. The reference to brainless idiots can be seen as a harsh judgment on the king and queen, who were ultimately beheaded, quite literally rendering them brainless. Nostradamus's prophecies have fascinated people for centuries, with many interpreting his quatrains as predictions of significant historical events. While skeptics argue that his verses are too vague and open to interpretation, believers maintain that Nostradamus had an uncanny ability to foresee the future. Whether or not one subscribes to the idea of prophetic insight, the stories linked to his quatrains continue to intrigue and inspire debate. In summary, the prophecies attributed to Nostradamus cover a wide range of historical events, from the Great Fire of London and the rise and fall of Louis Pasteur to the French Revolution. Each prophecy offers a glimpse into the mysterious and often contentious realm of predicting the future. Despite the skepticism, the detailed events and their alignment with Nostradamus's quatrains keep the debate alive. His predictions, whether seen as divinely inspired insights or clever interpretations of historical patterns, continue to capture the imagination of people worldwide.
The death of Pope Francis. In 1555, he wrote these prophecies that could lead to a global conflict. According to Nostradamus, the death of Pope Francis at the age of 87 is something that will happen. Maybe you don't know, the Pope has had quite a few health problems, forcing him to skip the United Nations conference because of severe pneumonia and some other respiratory problems. So was it the cause of the Pope's death? We can't come to that conclusion yet, but we will know in a short period of time. What's terrifying is that his successor will be a Roman. This person will weaken people's faith, but will still be Pope for a long time, it seems. The exact meaning of the word weakening in Nostradamus's prophecy is still highly debated. It can have 2 meanings. The idea of being married to each other is quite a weakening effect on the church and people's faith, and it can reduce the impact of any major scandal on the religious community. It is difficult to understand exactly what he wrote in his prophecy. His style is confusing and full of metaphors from which we can understand the 4 verses in many different ways. So we cannot confirm that these things will happen exactly. But you can see the current situation. Maybe we have understood this prophecy correctly. King Charles's battle with cancer. The next prediction takes us to the internal affairs of the British royal family. In a shocking revelation, Buckingham Palace disclosed that King Charles, venerable monarch of Britain, faces a formidable adversary, cancer. The 75-year-old sovereign, in the throes of this battle, must temporarily retreat from his public duties to undergo treatment. Yet his resolve remains unyielding, yearning to resume his obligations as swiftly as possible. However, amidst this turmoil, whispers of prophecy resurface, hearkening back to the enigmatic verses penned by Nostradamus centuries ago. Could these prophetic murmurs foretell a tumultuous fate for the British monarchy? According to interpretations of his 1555 text, La Prophétesse, Nostradamus ominously predicts a royal upheaval, hinting at the possibility of abdication by King Charles. In his place, a surprising successor emerges. Prince Harry, once relegated to the role of spare heir, now thrust into the limelight as the unexpected heir to the throne. But the intrigue does not end there. The mysterious disappearance of the Princess of Wales, coupled with the prolonged absence of Kate Middleton, fuels a storm of speculation and conspiracy theories. While official statements attribute Kate's seclusion to a planned surgery and subsequent recovery, rumors swirl unabated. Some suggest she languishes in an induced coma, shielded from prying eyes by a veil of secrecy woven by the royal household. Amidst the chaos, a controversial incident emerges: the manipulation of a family photograph shared by the Princess of Wales. Dubbed Kate-spiracy by social media, this incident ignites further scrutiny into the actions of the royal family, casting doubt upon the authenticity of their public image. Yet, amidst the whispers and conjecture, one cannot overlook the eerie accuracy of Nostradamus' past prediction. His prophecy regarding Queen Elizabeth II's demise, foretelling her passing at the age of 96, sends shivers down the spine. As the late monarch's death aligns with the prophesied age, one cannot help but ponder the veracity of Nostradamus' insights. In conclusion, while these predictions may seem far-fetched, history has shown us the unexpected can unfold in the realm of royalty. As we navigate through this labyrinth of intrigue and speculation, one thing remains certain: the enigmatic legacy of Nostradamus continues to captivate our imaginations, leaving us to wonder what the future holds for the British monarchy. World War III. The French sage Nostradamus once peered into the mists of time and foretold of a new world war, a chilling prophecy that echoes through the annals of history. As we stand 79 years removed from the end of the Second World War, the stage seems set for a confrontation that could engulf the world in flames. The focal point of this gathering storm lies in the shifting tides of power surrounding China, whose ascent as a global powerhouse has set the geopolitical chessboard ablaze. From the contested waters of the South China Sea to the simmering tensions over Taiwan, China's assertive displays of strength raise the specter of a cataclysmic clash with NATO forces. Analysts warn of a powder keg primed for ignition, where a single spark could unleash a violent conflagration of unprecedented scale. Nostradamus' cryptic verses offer further fuel for speculation, speaking of combat and naval battles that leave the great ocean trembling in fear. Could these prophecies portend the rise of a red adversary, whose actions mirror those of China in our modern era? The echoes of past conflicts, from Ukraine to the Taiwan Strait, only serve to deepen the sense of foreboding that grips the world. Yet, amidst the clamor of war drums, we must tread carefully through the maze of prophecy and interpretation. While seismic shifts in geopolitics may herald the approach of the end times, they do not serve as the definitive harbingers of apocalypses. The Apostle Paul's warnings of deception and moral decay remind us that the road to perdition is paved with false prophets and misguided interpretations. Indeed, the specter of the Antichrist looms large in the collective consciousness, his shadow cast across the pages of history like a dark omen. Nostradamus spoke of three such figures: Napoleon, Hitler, and now the harbinger of the apocalypse yet to come. Speculation runs rampant as to the identity of this malevolent force, with names ranging from political leaders to royalty thrown into the crucible of conjecture. But let us not be swayed by the whispers of fear and uncertainty. For amidst the gathering storm, a beacon of hope shines bright, a promise of righteousness prevailing in the face of darkness. The words of Christ himself foretell of wars and rumors of wars, yet they also offer assurance of a final victory over evil. As we navigate the turbulent waters of prophecy and geopolitics, let us hold fast to the truth that lies within our grasp. For in the twilight of human history, it is not the machinations of empires or the rise of tyrants that shall determine our fate, but the enduring light of faith and righteousness that guides our path forward. The threat from nature. As we stand on the precipice of uncertainty, another augury from the annals of Nostradamus beckons our attention, a grim foretelling of the advancing specter of climate change. In the year 2024, the shadows of disruption loom large, heralding a future fraught with tempestuous storms and soaring temperatures. The U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's sobering assessment casts a dire forecast, with a 1/3 chance that 2024 will surpass its predecessor in heat and a staggering 99% likelihood that it will rank among the top 5 hottest years on record. The fingerprints of human-induced climate change, coupled with the emergence of the El Niño climate pattern, weave a tapestry of upheaval, unleashing a maelstrom of extreme weather phenomena across the globe. From the snow-laden landscapes of North America to the fiery eruptions of Icelandic volcanoes, the harbingers of climate change manifest in myriad forms. Nostradamus' prophetic gaze pierces through the veil of time, foretelling of parched earth and deluge alike, a world gripped by the cruel embrace of famine and flood. But amidst the tumult of nature's wrath, another ominous portent looms on the horizon, a seismic upheaval that shall claim thousands of lives in its wake. While the precise location remains veiled in ambiguity, recent events in Morocco serve as a chilling reminder of the Earth's unforgiving power, echoing the warnings of the French sage. Yet, as we grapple with the specter of impending catastrophe, let us not overlook the words of wisdom imparted by ancient scriptures. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus provides us with vital signposts for navigating the tumultuous waters of the end times. False prophets shall rise, wielding deception like a sword, while the drums of war beat ever louder on the horizon. Famine, plague, and earthquakes shall stalk the land, heralding the birth pains of a world in turmoil. In conclusion, as we confront the gathering storm of climate change and prophecy, let us heed the lessons of the past and the warnings of the present. Baba Vanga predictions. Her real name is Vangelia Pandeva Gushtarova. She passed away in 1996 at 84 years old and supposedly predicted events that shocked the world and even predicted her death. Originally from Bulgaria, the clairvoyant believed she gained her powers during a terrible storm, which led to her losing her sight at age 12. Since then, Baba has made predictions about a range of historic events. Baba Vanga is the name that terrifies humanity because of her prophecies. People worldwide are still interested and confused by these mysterious predictions, which cover a wide range of global events and phenomena. The blind psychic passed away in 1996, but left behind various predictions that have come true in the years following her death. For 2024, Baba Vanga has some predictions in store, with some equally as terrifying as those of the past. First, she claimed the world would face an economic crisis this year, and now the UK and Japan are grappling with just that. The Office of National Statistics confirmed that GDP fell by a larger than expected 0.3% in the 3 months to December in the UK. This is a result of a decline in all main sectors of the economy and collapses in retail sales in Japan. The yen is currently at an all-time 34-year low, weakening to 51.97 against the US dollar. The country has now moved down to fourth position in global standings, being overtaken by Germany in third. Baba Vanga's forecast of a major economic crisis impacting the global economy in 2024 raises concerns about the interconnectedness of geopolitical events and financial stability. Then predictions of political upheavals and dangers are not limited to one area, indicating Vanga's vision of global tension talked about Putin in danger and European trials of the political upheavals as a result of the Russia and Ukraine war. Baba Vanga has predicted the assassination of Russian President Vladimir Putin. This prediction gains particular significance following a recent tragic event in Moscow that has shocked the world. The recent terrorist attack in Moscow, which claimed the lives of 133 individuals and left many more wounded, has sent shockwaves across Russia and beyond. President Putin addressed the nation acknowledging the severity of the attack and vowing to pursue those responsible for organizing the attack, which occurred across City Hall during a rock concert. Marked one of the deadliest terrorist incidents in Moscow in over 2 decades. The tragedy has reignited concerns about security and terrorism in the region, prompting heightened vigilance and security measures while authorities have detained suspects linked to the attack, including individuals with alleged ties to extremist groups. Questions linger about the motives and origins of the speculation, and conspiracy theories have emerged, with some suggesting possible connections to larger geopolitical tensions and conflicts against this backdrop. Baba Vanga's prediction about a rise in terrorist attacks in Europe takes on added significance. Her mention of a big country conducting biological weapons tests or attacks adds another layer of complexity to the ongoing discussions about global security. Baba Vanga warned of increased terrorist activities in Europe and hinted at the possibility of a major country engaging in biological weapons testing or launching attacks presently. The Israel-Hamas conflict and Russia's invasion of Ukraine remain prominent issues because the balance of international power has changed in China. Rising as many people think, or is Russia declining rapidly, might be China's development cannot make up for Russia's decline, so the power to balance the West is gradually becoming weaker. There are more and more democratic countries, and their power is getting stronger, such as Eastern Europe and India. NATO is gradually expanding eastward and has a pattern of encircling. China is also taking shape. Many territorial disputes between Russia and China are being unearthed from history. Russia's rule over Tatars, Cheta, and many other ethnic states in the southwest, and China's rule over East Turkestan, Tibet, Southern Mongolia, and Hong Kong are becoming less and less recognized by the world. The aftermath of the Moscow attack could potentially exacerbate existing economic challenges, leading to further uncertainty and volatility. Cyber attacks may be among the most impressive of Baba Vanga's predictions, since the internet was still in its very early stages when she passed away in 1996. The mystic predicted hackers would increase their attacks, especially against vital infrastructure, thus possibly creating security dangers worldwide. Most recently, the telecommunications giant AT&T recently announced a data set found on the dark web containing information including some social security numbers and passcodes for about 7.6 million current and 65.4 million former account holders. Whether the data originated from AT&T or one of its vendors is still unknown. The Dallas-based company noted, adding that it had launched an investigation into the incident. AT&T has also begun notifying customers whose personal information was compromised. Apple, Meta, and his all-disclosed cybersecurity attacks over the past 12 months and with the explosive development of technology, cyber attacks will continue for a long time. The psychic's other prediction was that we would have drastic developments in healthcare. The mystic predicted that new cures for diseases like Alzheimer's and cancer will be invented this year. It sounds unbelievable, but nothing is impossible with the rapid development of World Medicine President Vladimir Putin. Recently said that Russian scientists are close to creating a vaccine for cancer that could soon be available to patients. He said we have reached a significant milestone in the development of cancer vaccines and next-generation immunomodulatory drugs. I hope that soon they will be effectively used as methods of individual therapy. However, he did not specify the types of cancer the proposed vaccines would target. Furthermore, recent developments have confirmed progress in the development of a lung cancer vaccine. The United Kingdom has allocated funding for 2 years of laboratory research and initial manufacturing of 3,000 doses for a DNA-based lung cancer vaccine as stated. In a press release from the University of Oxford, located in Oxford, England, it cannot be denied that the world will have a positive outlook for cancer patients, and we can fully expect that a miracle will happen in 2024. The prophetess had also foretold that there would be severe weather events and natural disasters this year. Global heat waves are happening 67% more often. According to a study in Science Advances, the study found the highest temperatures in the heat waves are warmer than 40 years ago, and the area under a heat dome is larger from 1979 to 1983. Global heat waves would last 8 days on average, but by 2016 to 2020, that was up to 12 days. The study said the World Meteorological Organization said there is a high probability that 2024 will be another record hot year. Nostradamus suggesting a tumultuous future for Britain's King Charles in 2024 after his cancer diagnosis, which was discovered when he was undergoing treatment for an enlarged prostate. Royal observers speculated that King Charles might step down, either voluntarily or due to pressure related to his health. The revelation of King Charles's cancer diagnosis has left many questions unanswered, with Buckingham Palace withholding details regarding the cancer type and stage. This lack of transparency has fueled both concern and speculation about the monarch's health and the potential implications for the British monarchy in his renown. Nostradamus seemingly forecasted the monarch's downfall, including potential abdication or forced removal. Nostradamus predicted the potential abdication of a king and the rise of an unexpected successor, which now seems to echo the current situation involving King Charles and Prince Harry. The ancient prophet said the King of the Isles would be driven out by force and would be replaced by one who will have no mark of a king before that. He accurately predicted Queen Elizabeth II's passing at around the age of 96, a prophecy that aligned with Buckingham Palace's announcement of King Charles III's diagnosis following his mother's demise in 2022. However, the question of how Prince Harry, who has shown little interest in royal duties, would end up as king remains unanswered. The royal family has faced its fair share of scandals in recent years. However, the one that garnered the most headlines and caused papers and tabloids across the world to go nuts was Prince Harry's exit from the royal family and the fallout thereafter. Despite his decision to pull back from his duties, many wonder if Prince Harry could still rule as king, as is his birthright. Otherwise known as birthright privilege, Prince Harry is fifth in line for the throne. In the instance of Charles's death, Prince William Charles's firstborn son is next in line for the throne. If something were to happen to William Harry, still wouldn't be next in line, as that would be William's firstborn Prince George, then Princess Charlotte, and finally Prince Louis. If William were to abdicate, which is highly unlikely, and George was still under 18, then it's a different question. The role of regent means a person who governs a kingdom. In the minority, absence or disability of the sovereign would then perhaps go to Harry until George was old enough to take on his royal duties. Nostradamus predicting Harry would become his successor seems unlikely, but we will never know what will happen after. It actually happens. Continue with a prediction about a huge famine brought on by a wave of pestilence. First, we talk about the famine if we put Nostradamus's prophecy next to what the Bible teaches. You will see the coincidence that they both mention famine back to the past. Israel occupied the rocky highlands of Canaan, the area of present-day Jerusalem and the hills to the north of it, rather than fertile coastal plains even in the best of years. It took enormous effort to coax sufficient sustenance out of the ground. The rainy seasons were brief. Any precipitation less than normal could be devastating across the ancient Near East drought, and famine were feared in the 13th century BC. Nearly all of the Eastern Mediterranean civilizations collapsed because of a prolonged drought in the book of Deuteronomy. God proclaims that if Israel obeys the laws, the Lord will open for you his bounteous store, the heavens, to provide rain for your land in season disobedience. However, will have the opposite effect. The skies above your head shall be copper, and the earth under you iron. The Lord will make the rain of your land. Dust and sand shall drop on you from the sky until you are wiped out to ancient Israelites. There was no such thing as nature as we understand it today, and no such thing as a chance if things were good. It was because God was happy if things were going badly. It was because the deity was angry about a national catastrophe like famine. The sin had to lie either with the entire people or with the monarchs who represented them, and it was the task of prophets and oracles to determine. The divine wrath famine was perceived as both retribution and opportunity, a punishment for transgressions, yet a chance for repentance and transformation. For instance, in the annals of Solomon's wisdom, during the inauguration of the temple in Jerusalem, he beseeches God for forgiveness, envisioning a future where famine-stricken Israel might turn to the newly sanctified temple for mercy. Similarly, recounted in the book of Samuel, Israel endures a 3-year famine during the reign of David, its greatest king. When David seeks the cause, he learns of the sins of his predecessor Saul, turning famine into both a consequence of disobedience and a catalyst for a more faithful future. The waves of pestilence, often associated with Nostradamus's prophecies, are believed by many to foretell calamitous events, such as deadly earthquakes. Exploring these verses, we encounter the admonition not to be alarmed by wars and rumors thereof, as they are but the beginning of birth pains. The New Testament parallels this sentiment, suggesting that these trials signify the onset of the last days. Yet, Revelation depicts even more cataclysmic earthquakes during the tribulation, challenging the interpretation of ordinary seismic activity as a harbinger of the end. Nostradamus's predictions, couched in metaphorical and cryptic language, have inspired interpretations ranging from the specific to the vague. Some assert their accuracy, citing instances like the death of Henry II or the rise of Napoleon, while others attribute their perceived fulfillment to the inherent ambiguity of the prophecies. Nonetheless, the debate persists, fueled by the enigmatic nature of Nostradamus's writings and the tendency of historical events to align, however loosely, with his predictions. Venturing back nearly a century, visionary minds of 1924 dared to envisage the world of 2024. From David Wark Griffith's hopeful vision of cinema fostering global understanding to Leo Hendrik Baekeland's dire warnings of futuristic weaponry's potential to annihilate humanity, these forecasts spanned a spectrum of optimism and apprehension. British politician Kingsley Wood anticipated significant advances in longevity, envisioning a future where living to 100 would be commonplace, and 75-year-olds deemed comparatively youthful. Meanwhile, Joseph Paul Day foresaw radical transformations in urban life, with dirigibles and airplanes revolutionizing daily commutes and bridging the gap between city centers and suburbs. In the realm of technology, Archibald Montgomery Lowe speculated on wireless communications potential, presaging capabilities akin to modern-day internet transactions and criminal identification systems. Similarly, Frank L. Ferraro envisioned a societal shift towards gender equality, anticipating women in positions of power and authority, even leading armies into battle. From the architectural foresight of Ben Boren, foreseeing multi-tiered roadways and subterranean freight systems, to the cultural predictions of Rufus Bernhard von Klein-Smid, describing a physically and spiritually vibrant girl of tomorrow. These prophetic voices collectively reflect the hopes, fears, and aspirations of their time. As we reflect on these past visions of the future, we are reminded of the inherent uncertainty in prognostication. While some forecasts may align with reality, others veer wide of the mark, serving as testament to the complexity of human progress and the unpredictable course of history. In the end, whether we find ourselves amidst the fulfillment of prophecy or in the midst of unforeseen developments, the passage of time remains the ultimate arbiter of truth.